what a tree gives you is so much more important than what gold would give you. Yes, it did allow us to experiment too, but we needed a home. So that's why we built the house, not for demonstrating, but we saw the earth and we just fell in love with it. We saw the neighbor digging, and so we decided the basement. And that set off a lot of chain of thoughts how to follow now in designing in Bangalore. So one was the resource to build with. So, and every time you kind of kept working, it became very interesting that the walls, floors, roofs can come from below the ground. So this is a birthday party of an intern's birthday party. And that's something, that earth is not biologically usable because you made a house or you made any building. And in bargain, you get a basement which is 22 degrees centigrade throughout the year. First house was lab. At that place, even my husband noticed how the water is coming down the roof, and we started on rainwater harvesting. And that became something which we use. We don't even talk about it. It's kind of a de rigueur in our designs. Then in the house, we put in system of treating the grey water. And now that is a record. Every house it treats its grey water, uses it within, and not sends it out. So the house becomes a positive imprint rather than a negative one. Otherwise, any building is a negative one. You bring material from elsewhere, you bring water from elsewhere, you bring air, and you only give out waste. I cannot say totally that no, you should not have it or you should have it. I'm on the fence in the terms that it helps. Certain people, they're given parameters to do a certain amount of good. So fine, do it, it's fine. So market has all the different possibilities, so this is one. I think they should also stop naming it platinum, gold and silver, because these are very high energy consuming materials. And they also are, they suck blood out of people, whoever is working in the mine. So that's, I think, it's very narrow-minded way of thinking. If they're really looking at something green and ecological, it should start from timber, mud and stone maybe. And that's what people have to accept. That's a new paradigm. You have to accept that, what a tree gives you is so much more important than what gold would give you. Go back to what Korea said. In India, two kinds of people build on their own. It's very poor or very rich. They can build for themselves. So the poor don't come to us, to architects. They're doing it on their own, and it's also very incremental and depending upon what they can afford. So our impact I wouldn't call them as poor, it's mostly with skills, is quite high. Because we don't use so much of machine, we don't use the vendor-made products so much. It's crafted building. So every craftsman is used well enough. So that's why you see the walls are exposed. So you don't have to put a paint or plaster it up. And we've seen that if we work with a team, we continue working with that team all the time and give them work. So the work of the architect is very grainy in that sense that I know the people I'm working with. So I know the same mason for 25 years. That's important. And so you affect the people's skill and they learn better and see to it that they get paid better. Masons become head masons, they get good family. In fact, in our team now, 3 masons have sons who are civil engineers. One of them is working with us here in the office. Yeah, so that's the pride of theirs. Yeah, and we are not doing any of it. It's happening by themselves because they have constant work. We are in India get very carried away with whatever is very glamorous and what we see in the pictures. And India has a possibility of being the beacon of doing things right, because we still have to do a lot, build a lot. I find the developer built ones, where you're just there guiding concrete into those formworks. You're not doing anything more, and you don't even see it. Then plaster is put so the people are not really feeling for their work. And these kind of works, you feel it. You feel proud of it as a mason. We feel proud of knowing that mason who's done. And you work in a team, because it's not just a mason. You have to get the electrician working with it. So all the skills come together. And that's important. It's important. We're too impatient to build the way we are building. That what Raul Malhotra calls impatient capitalism is forcing us out of what India could create. With the climate change being the bugbear, which is so loomingly large, the architects are still not thinking in terms of environment. They're still thinking of some form. Nothing wrong with form. One is not saying that you should not be talking of form or creation or stuff, but you cannot not be thinking of what's happening to this planet and how you're going to use resources, how you're going to make buildings. Because especially in India, you need to make a lot more buildings. So that's a very important factor. And it's such a nice profession that you can keep on learning all the time. It's not that we learned how to make mud blocks or earth buildings in the college. In school, we didn't learn this at all, but you can learn. So what needs to be given to the profession or the teaching is that how to see, how to observe, and how to absorb. And it's such lovely times. You get the information from anywhere, all the time. And you can be studying, you can be a student for life. Sadly, too much responsibility is put on the architect and not on the person who's asking for things. The client too should be aware. And for that, we keep saying is that we are never charging ecological cost of materials which are not green, let's say. Yeah? So if we are going to pay for the electricity subsidized prices, somebody else is paying through something else, lung cancer in where the thermal power plants are, but here we are busy just using a lot of electricity. Or there is no water for the farmer, but here we are wasting it in some other way, washing cars or whatever, we're wasting. So if we don't pay the ecological cost, we will not know how to not use some. If you can afford, then you pay. So that goes somewhere else and is being used for betterment of the people who are sacrificing for your lifestyle. So you might be using something and you don't know who else has sacrificed their lives for you to get it. So that aspect has to be taught. I think that has to start happening in school levels. Kids should know for what they get, what's the background of it. That's some decisions my father made. Okay, nothing to do with me. I don't know what I would have done, but he went to Nigeria on an UNDP assignment to set up a school of fine arts. So at that time, this was in a large polytechnic, and I could only join civil engineering. Though he was always keen that I study architecture. He had, in '65, when he had been to US, he saw this new profession, architecture. He was a sculptor, and so he knew about arts, but he was very enthralled with architecture, and he thought the daughter should become an architect. But at Nigeria, I studied civil engineering. There was no architecture department. He came back and joined CEPT and studied. And he used to tell me about NID and CEPT and stuff. So it's him who decided. This kind of work, I think once you get into it, it kind of sticks to you. And I also notice I can't handle the other kind of material and the way to use it. Probably one got so ingrained with doing such a thing, and you enjoyed it and is continuing. And you also built up a body of knowledge and rationale why you have to do this. And nothing else has yet convinced me that you could do something else. why one says not to read Fountainhead is also, it makes you very egoistic, and you don't tend to be a team player, and team is the most important factor in any creation. So it's not mine also. I think some of the works which my colleagues do is much better than mine, and they are even more detailed with respect to even ecological processes if need be, or even something like recently happened in terms of moral processes in doing a project, how to do it, stuff like that. So if you lose that and you just have this thing of egoistic, it doesn't work. And Ayn Rand has been shown that her prophecies and her economic systems, everything has failed. New generation world over, first of all, it's a global generation. And they understand, I think, a lot more of sharing, which is the way future is. You cannot be doing things just for yourself. So there's a whole lot of sharing economy which is developing. Nothing, really nothing. It's just that you're getting up every day and you're doing some things. I think what drives us is the passion with what the kids in the office have. And you come there and see them and then work with them and then you learn also and stuff. So it's really nothing much. It's just you're enjoying life as it comes.